My wife called me from the grocery store last Tuesday. She was standing in the cereal aisle, report in hand. Her doctor had just called with her latest numbers. LDL up again. Third time in 18 months. And she'd been doing everything right. Margarine instead of butter. Skinless chicken. No more weekend bacon. She'd given up the one breakfast she actually enjoyed, and her cholesterol basically laughed at her. She asked me one question I hear constantly from patients who are 60, 65, 70 years old. Marcus, why isn't anything working? And that question, that specific frustration, is exactly why I'm recording this today. Because if you're sitting there right now with a cholesterol report that won't budge, or a doctor's appointment circled on the calendar that you're quietly dreading, or maybe you're already on a statin and wondering if there's something more you can actually do yourself, this video is for you. Not for a 30-year-old. For you. Someone who has worked hard their whole life, who wants to stay sharp and independent, who does not want to become a burden to the people they love. Here's what nobody explains in a standard 12-minute clinic visit. Most of the cholesterol circulating in your blood right now, your liver made it, not your plate. Your liver produces cholesterol every single day, packages it into something called bile, dumps that bile into your digestive tract to help break down food, and then pulls 95% of it straight back in. Same cholesterol. Made, dumped, reabsorbed. Over and over. I call this the cholesterol loop. And it's why cutting eggs and switching to margarine barely moves the number for most people. You're not eating your way into high cholesterol. You're trapped inside a loop that keeps recycling the same cholesterol back into your blood, day after day, like a drain that never actually clears. Now here's what changes everything, and stay with me, because this is the part most videos skip entirely. Some foods physically grab onto that bile down in your gut. They hold it. They force it out of your body before it gets reabsorbed. And when bile leaves, your liver has to pull cholesterol from your blood to make more. That's the loop breaking open. That's your LDL number actually moving. Other foods feed the good bacteria living in your colon, the ones that break cholesterol down before it ever gets a chance to re-enter your bloodstream. I'm Dr. Marcus Wells, and today I'm walking you through the 10 foods that do exactly that. Some are already in your kitchen, a couple work faster than you might expect, and I mean that honestly, not as a headline trick. One thing before we get into the list. I've put together everything I walk my own patients through after 60, the food, the timing, the specific combinations, into one plan built for rebuilding heart health at this stage of life. The link is right there on your screen if you want it. Thousands of people are already using it. Now, let's get into the food. Hold one idea in your mind and this entire list will make sense to you. Soluble fiber forms a thick gel in your gut. That gel grabs bile, which is loaded with cholesterol, and drags it toward the exit before your body reabsorbs it. Aim for 5 to 10 grams of soluble fiber a day. Mayo Clinic research points to that range for real, measurable drops in LDL. And there's a flip side. Saturated fat in 2C, the hard white fat in marbled beef, fried chicken skin, croissants, quietly signals your liver to hold on to its cholesterol instead of releasing it. So while you're adding these 10 foods in, easing back on the hard, solid fats is what actually lets them work. Not zero, just less. One more thing before we dive in, and it costs nothing. Next time you're at your doctor's office, ask for a test called lipoprotein(a). Say it exactly that way. Lipoprotein(a). It's the inherited piece of your cholesterol picture that diet genuinely cannot touch, and most people go their entire life without ever having it checked once. Knowing that number tells you which part of this is within your control and which part needs a different conversation with your physician. Let's start. Number 10. Garlic. Crush a raw clove of garlic and it releases a compound called allicin. That's the sharp, stinging smell that hits your nose when you're chopping at the cutting board. Allicin may contribute to modest reductions in LDL, sharp, a few points, not dramatic. It also may help calm some of the low-grade inflammation that makes cholesterol particles more likely to stick to artery walls. The National Institutes of Health reviewed this research. Honest assessment, the effect is real but modest. Garlic is a supporting player here, not your whole strategy. Here's a trick almost nobody uses. Allicin only forms after you crush or chop the clove and let it rest on the cutting board for 10 full minutes. Throw raw garlic straight into a screaming hot pan, and you destroy most of the allicin before it does anything. So crush it first. Let it sit. Add it near the end of cooking. 1 or 2 cloves a day. That's your target. But here's what I want you to know before we move to number 9. Garlic is good. What's coming at numbers 3, 2, and 1? Those are the ones that can genuinely move a stubborn number in ways most people never expect. Don't skip ahead. The reason number 1 works so fast has everything to do with what I'm about to explain in number 4. Number 9. Onions. Onions carry a prebiotic fiber called inulin. Feed that to the good bacteria in your colon, and they get better at breaking down bile, pushing it out of your body instead of letting it recirculate. Every bit of bile that leaves forces your liver to pull more cholesterol from your blood to replace it. That's the cholesterol loop working in your favor for once. Onions also bring an antioxidant called quercetin, tied in some research to modestly lower blood pressure alongside its anti-inflammatory effect. The whole onion family counts. Red onions, white onions, leeks, shallots. Cooking is fine. The fiber holds up to heat. A pan of slow caramelized onions is still doing its job. And here's something people never give onions credit for. They make the beans and the greens on this list taste good enough that you'll actually eat them again tomorrow. That matters more than any single compound. The best food on this list does nothing sitting untouched in the back of your refrigerator. Number 8. Broccoli. Broccoli brings soluble fiber, yes, but its real trick is a compound called glucoraphanin. When you chop broccoli, an enzyme converts that into sulforaphane, which activates a protective system inside your cells called NRF2. Think of NRF2 as your body's internal cleanup crew for the daily wear and tear on your blood vessels, the cellular rust that accumulates quietly over years. Researchers at Johns Hopkins have studied sulforaphane for years and linked it to reduced inflammation markers and lower LDL in some studies. Here's the part almost nobody does. Cut your broccoli and let it sit for 20 to 30 minutes before it goes in the pan. That waiting time allows the enzyme to actually form the sulforaphane. Cook it the second you slice it, and the heat destroys the process before it develops. Steam until just tender. Never boil into gray mush, because boiling sends the beneficial compounds straight into the water you're about to pour down the drain. Can't stand broccoli? Cabbage, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts are the same family. Same job. Number 7. Ground flaxseed. This might be the easiest addition on the entire list. Flaxseed is one of the richest plant sources of soluble fiber that forms that bile-grabbing gel in your gut. It also carries a plant-based omega-3 and compounds called lignans, both associated with lower LDL when eaten consistently. The Cleveland Clinic points to ground flaxseed as a meaningful cholesterol support tool when used daily. But there's a catch, a big one. Whole flax seeds pass through your digestive tract almost entirely untouched. The shell is too tough for your gut to break open. They must be ground. Buy them pre-ground or run them through a cheap coffee grinder at home. Store them in the refrigerator so the oils don't go off. 2 tablespoons a day. Stir it into oatmeal, yogurt, a smoothie, or even a bowl of soup. You won't taste it. It costs almost nothing at the grocery store. Now, we're about to hit the heavier hitters, numbers 6 through 4, and this is where the science gets genuinely interesting, because one of these 3 contains a specific type of fiber that the FDA allows food companies to put a heart health claim on the actual packaging. Not many foods earn that. We'll get there. Number 6. Apples. That old line holds up better than most people think. Apples are loaded with a soluble fiber called pectin. Pectin grabs cholesterol in the gut and helps carry it out. A study published in 2020 in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition put participants on 2 apples a day. LDL and triglycerides dropped over the following weeks. Real numbers. The whole apple does something else too. It's filling. Eat one and you're satisfied, Far less likely to reach for a cookie an hour later. Just make sure it's the actual fruit. Applesauce carries a fraction of the fiber. Apple juice carries almost none, plus a hit of sugar that pushes triglycerides in the wrong direction. Eat the whole apple, skin included. A significant portion of the pectin lives right there in the skin. Pears, oranges, even a plain carrot carry pectin too. Them in. Number 5. Walnuts. Most of this list runs on fiber. Walnuts earn their spot a completely different way. They're loaded with polyunsaturated fat, including a plant-based omega-3. And when that fat replaces the saturated fat you'd otherwise be snacking on, LDL may drop and your artery lining tends to function better. The American Heart Association has linked a small daily handful of walnuts to lower cardiovascular risk. Watch your portion. Nuts are calorie-dense. A quarter cup is the sweet spot, not the whole bag on a Sunday evening. And this is a good moment to clear up a misunderstanding, because most people have the fat conversation backwards. The saturated fat in fried food, fatty cheese, and packaged pastries signals your gut to hold on to bile and cholesterol. The fat in walnuts, olive oil, and avocado, opposite direction. It's the hard, solid fat, the kind that stays firm sitting on your kitchen counter at room temperature. Number 4. Barley. Now we're into the serious territory. Barley is loaded with a specific soluble fiber called beta-glucan, the best bile trapper on this entire list. Not close. It forms a thick, dense gel in your gut and does that one job extremely well, proven enough that the FDA allows food companies to print a heart health claim directly on the packaging. A review of clinical research found barley's beta-glucan may contribute to an LDL reduction of roughly 7% in study participants. The easiest way to use it, and 4-leg circulation, or toss a handful into soup or stew where it thickens things up nicely. You've just turned a fiber-free starch into one of the strongest cholesterol tools on your plate. Whole barley beats pearled barley where you can find it. Pearling strips away some of the outer fiber layer. One more trick. Cook barley, cool it overnight in the refrigerator, then eat it the next day. That cooling process creates something called resistant starch, which feeds your good gut bacteria and may help flatten blood sugar spikes on top of everything else. We're now at numbers 3, 2, and 1. These 3 work differently from everything above them, and one of them, number 1, has more peer-reviewed research behind it for lowering LDL than almost any food on Earth. I'll tell you exactly how fast you can realistically expect to see your numbers shift. Stay with me. Number 3. Black beans. If you're eating meat most nights of the week, this is the single biggest available swap. A few nights a week, to be most for teen, trade the meat for black beans instead. Beans bring soluble fiber and resistant starch together. That resistant starch feeds bacteria that produce something called butyrate, PURIO, basically fuel for the lining of your gut and part of the machinery that keeps the cholesterol loop working in your favor. A review published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal found that just 1 serving of beans or lentils a day may lower LDL by around 5%. Plain, cheap, doing what a lot of people are hoping a pill will do. I'll be straight with you, beans make some people gassy the first week or two. Temporary. That's just your gut bacteria adjusting. Soak dried beans overnight and discard the water. Rinse canned beans well. Start with half a cup and build up. Number 2. Navy beans. All beans deserve a place at your table, but white beans, navy beans specifically, are the soluble fiber champions of the entire legume family. 1 cup carries close to 19 grams of fiber, more than most people eat in an entire day, sitting in a single bowl. And that fiber isn't only trapping bile. It's feeding the entire community of beneficial bacteria we keep returning to, the ones that convert cholesterol into a form your body simply cannot reabsorb. It doesn't have to be navy beans exclusively. Lentils, chickpeas, kidney beans, pinto beans, they all pull in the same direction. Rotate them through the week so you don't get tired of any one. Keep a few cans in the pantry, rinse them to cut the sodium, and add a cup to whatever soup, salad, or stew is already on the stove. Cheap, unglamorous, genuinely effective. And then there's number 1. Number 1. Oats. The single most studied cholesterol food on the planet. Oats carry that same beta-glucan we talked about with barley, but oats have more clinical research behind them for lowering LDL than almost any other food that exists. Get approximately 3 grams of beta-glucan a day, roughly 1 solid bowl of oatmeal, and both Mayo Clinic and the FDA point to a range of 5 to 10% reduction in LDL within weeks, not years. That's the fast in the title of this video. And it's an honest word. Use real oats. Steel cut or old-fashioned rolled. Skip the sugary instant packets, because the added sugar works against everything you're trying to do. Oat bran carries even more beta-glucan than regular oats. Worth knowing. Top your bowl with berries, or a spoonful of that ground flaxseed from number 7 instead of brown sugar. Add a little cinnamon, and you've done more for your cholesterol before 9 in the morning than a decade of skipping eggs ever did. Now, before I let you go, because this is the part that matters most, some of you are going to do all of this consistently and still watch your numbers stay stubborn. You are not doing anything wrong. Roughly a third of people are what researchers call superabsorbers. Your genetics program your gut to grab and hold on to more cholesterol than average, largely independent of how clean your diet is. The right foods still make a measurable difference. But if high cholesterol runs hard through your family, or if you've eaten carefully for months with barely any movement in your numbers, that may well be your situation. You didn't cause that, your genes did. The good news: genetic absorption is precisely the kind of thing a daily wall of soluble fiber is built to compete against. For people in that group, 3 foods carry most of the weight: oats, barley, beans. Daily. Not occasionally when you remember. That consistency is what may bring a stubborn number down, often enough to keep a conversation about additional medication on hold, though that conversation always belongs with your own physician, not with a video. There's one more tool worth mentioning: plant sterols and stanols. These are compounds that compete with cholesterol for absorption space in your gut. You'll find them in certain fortified spreads and orange juices, and in smaller amounts naturally in nuts, seeds, and vegetable oils. Around 2 grams a day has been associated with an additional LDL reduction of roughly 10%. If your numbers have been stuck, that's worth raising with your doctor directly. How fast is fast, realistically? If you stay consistent with this list, LDL can begin shifting somewhere around the 2 to 4 week mark. It keeps improving from there the longer you maintain the pattern. One honest caveat: cholesterol circulates in your blood for several days at a time. Eating well for 48 hours right before a blood test won't fake a good number. It's the daily pattern over weeks that actually moves the needle. One more easy addition before we close this out. A tablespoon of plain psyllium husk stirred into a glass of water is about the purest soluble fiber you can find: selin-nefer, the same ingredient inside most fiber supplements on the pharmacy shelf. Once a day, with plenty of water, working alongside everything else on this list. Now something I need to say plainly, because it's the responsible thing to do. Food is genuinely powerful, but it works alongside your physician, never instead of them. If your cholesterol is significantly elevated, if you've already had a cardiac event, or if you're currently taking a statin or any other prescribed medication, please do not stop anything or skip an appointment because of a video. Bring this list to your own doctor instead. Tell them you'd like to give a structured dietary approach an honest trial, and ask them to recheck your numbers in a few months. For many people, food gets them where they need to be. For others, it's what allows a lower medication dose to finish the job safely. Either way, the plate is the foundation, everything else sits on. If all 10 feels like more than you can manage starting tomorrow, don't overthink it. Oats at breakfast, beans at dinner, a small handful of walnuts, an apple somewhere in between. Do that most days. You've covered the majority of this entire list without trying to be perfect. Give it 2 weeks. Pay attention to how your energy feels by week 2. Mention any changes to your physician at your next visit so they can track the numbers alongside you. That's usually when patients first tell me something feels different, even before the blood work confirms it. Start there, add the rest as it feels manageable, and let your body finally break out of the cholesterol loop it's been trapped inside. Next video, I want to walk you through the flip side of this conversation. The everyday foods quietly keeping that loop locked shut. The ones sitting in most kitchens right now, labeled heart-healthy, that are not doing what the packaging promises. That one may upset a few breakfast routines. Subscribe so that video finds you when it's ready. And tell me in the comments, which food on this list are you starting with tomorrow morning? Take good care of that heart of yours. It's been working for you this whole time. Give it something worth working with. This video is for general educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your physician or a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your diet, starting any supplement, or adjusting any medication, including prescribed statins. Individual results vary.